Imagine missing the train to an important event. How might you feel? Maybe frustrated or angry. How could you think differently to change how you feel? Missing the train doesn't actually ruin my day. This sucks, but now I know to leave earlier next time. I can choose to be happy instead. It's okay to feel frustrated sometimes. These are all examples of a common emotion regulation strategy called cognitive reappraisal. Learning cognitive reappraisal can be challenging because you need to develop different skills. First, theory of mind, the ability to understand and reason about other people's mental states, including beliefs. Second, executive functioning skills, a set of mental skills that include working memory, flexible thinking, and self-control. And third, interoception, sensing internal signals from your body, like when you're hungry or when your heart is beating fast. And on top of that, you need to be able to transfer those skills to real situations. Previous reviews have shown that digital technologies, including virtual reality and mobile apps, as well as other digital technologies, have the potential to help support or scaffold cognitive reappraisal skills development for those having difficulty. Moreover, emerging large language models, like ChatGPT, are likely to substantially impact our assumptions about what types of learning and application support are possible for mental health, especially for cognitive reappraisal skills development that relies partly on linguistic processes to reframe the meaning of a situation in order to regulate emotions. As such, there's an opportunity for an in-depth analysis on how technology can specifically support cognitive reappraisal as a crucial emotion regulation strategy that's applicable across multiple types of therapies, as well as how to design and implement digital cognitive reappraisal interventions. Addressing these gaps in research would greatly enhance our understanding and enable the creation of more effective technology-based interventions for the benefit of researchers in HCI. To identify a research agenda for how digital technologies might best contribute to the success of cognitive reappraisal, we sought to answer three main research questions. First, how is cognitive reappraisal currently taught and learned in therapeutic contexts? What are the therapeutic challenges related to implementing and developing cognitive reappraisal skills? Second, what kinds of digital cognitive reappraisal interventions have HCI researchers developed and assessed? What are the underlying research objectives and psychological theories guiding the design of existing digital cognitive reappraisal interventions? And how and in what ways are HCI researchers delivering these interventions? And third, what evaluation measures are HCI researchers using to assess digital cognitive reappraisal interventions? And at what technological readiness levels, TRLs, are HCI interventions currently positioned, and how can they be further developed and refined? This paper is part of a larger project on developing technologically-mediated cognitive reappraisal interventions for teens. This paper focuses on theoretically derived research opportunities for researchers to develop and evaluate new avenues of technological support for cognitive reappraisal. First, we conducted a content analysis to understand the process and challenges of learning and implementing cognitive reappraisal. We took 30 different therapy manuals and workbooks to identify techniques and exercises for cognitive reappraisal. We then conducted interviews with clinicians who practice cognitive reappraisal techniques with clients, and we used the interviews to corroborate our insights. We describe how cognitive reappraisal is supported, as well as key challenges facing skills development. One way of describing the general steps of training someone to implement cognitive reappraisal is as follows. First, identifying the initial appraisals and feelings, like what am I thinking? How does the situation impact me? Second, generating an alternative thought. What's another way to think about this? Third, applying the most plausible alternatives and monitoring change in feelings. Like, how do I feel now? Out of the 107 techniques we analyzed, cognitive reappraisal was primarily supported through verbal conversations and worksheets sent out by therapists. Other techniques relied on mobile apps, photos, real-life exposures, and the client's imagination to generate intense emotional reactions to practice cognitive reappraisal techniques. We coded each instance of what the manuals and worksheets described as a challenge and synthesized them based on similarities. We saw that 11 key challenges. The first was interoception. Clients had dysfunctional awareness of sensations from inside the body. The second challenge in doing cognitive reappraisal was labeling a thought, or identifying a thought and associated feeling. A third challenge was high emotionality, where intense feelings hinder your ability to think rationally. Fourth is point of view, having trouble disengaging from a self-immersed vantage point. 5, having few affordances, developing stuck points or can't think beyond the obvious reappraisals. And 6 is reappraisal failure, trying and failing and feeling defeated to try again. In terms of training challenges, we found 5. First, access to interventions, where clients face access and affordability barriers due to financial and life circumstances. Second, clients found it difficult to maintain motivation and engagement with traditional treatments. Another challenge was realistic emotional situations, where emotion-provoking exposures can be sometimes used ineffectively. Another challenge was tailored interventions, because it requires more training and resources. And lastly, transfer of skills to everyday life. Where skills acquisition takes time and effort, it's hard to know what tactics to apply and when. Next, we conducted a scoping review of existing interventions in HCI to identify opportunities for how digital technology might support cognitive reappraisal challenges and enhance the effectiveness of existing techniques. We extracted 42 papers that had an intervention involving a digital technology using a cognitive reappraisal technique. It also needed to include an evaluation of some kind. We found the majority of digital interventions were PC over mobile apps, with fewer web-based VR or social robot apps. In terms of demographics, most interventions focused on healthy adults in European and North American countries, demonstrating the issues of diversity in HCI research, which pose serious limitations on the external validity of these interventions, not to mention the moral and ethical implications of perpetuating health inequalities. To understand the underlying research objectives and psychological theories guiding the design of existing interventions, we created this SIGCHI flow diagram. One of the most common delivery mechanisms was to use mobile phones, with the goal of modifying emotions by implementing cognitive reappraisal within cognitive behavioral therapy models in an on-the-spot didactic way to decrease negative emotions. We found that most interventions focused on user experience, usability, and feasibility. Few had specified user requirements before development, and not many made it to the stage of assessing acceptability, efficacy, and effectiveness. In terms of TRL levels, there are 9 levels grouped into 5 categories. And you can see that we didn't have any in the basic research category because we excluded any papers that didn't have an evaluation or user study. But we see most were in the technological development area. Next, we wove together the content analysis and scoping review to form a new understanding of how and in what ways existing HCI interventions were addressing cognitive reappraisal challenges from a psychological theory and clinical practice perspective. The underexplored design spaces present opportunities for researchers working in emotion regulation across different technologies. We present 3 trends and 3 gaps, followed by 4 strategic design opportunities. From this heat map, we saw that mobile phones and PCs were already addressing training challenges of access and transfer, while emerging tech were still relatively underexplored. This presents opportunities to explore emerging tech for addressing reappraisal challenges. When we looked at the kind of delivery mechanisms, cognitive reappraisal interventions were primarily focused on didactic delivery, i.e., interventions support users through information delivery, like psychoeducation. There were fewer interventions that used combinations of delivery mechanisms that included experiential forms, like intervention support that directed users towards a certain state or feeling. This presents an opportunity to use a combination of delivery mechanisms, how and where or when an intervention is used, to address a wider range of cognitive reappraisal challenges. Finally, we looked at what researchers evaluated and at what level their technology was at with respect to the TRL. We found many interventions evaluated UX and social interactions that address training challenges, but there's a severe lack of evaluations for efficacy and effectiveness, especially for mechanisms that address reappraisal challenges. Based on our analysis of the trends and gaps, we propose 4 strategic design opportunities. While there are a set of many possible futures that are this is meant to start a wider discussion of technology-mediated CR supports. The first is emulating natural adaptive coaching. We expect to see more therapeutic interventions utilize generative responses like LLMs that can be adapted to any therapeutic approach, personalized to a client's therapeutic needs and challenges, and even presented through personas that are the right fit for the client's personality and background. Second, enhance experiential skills learning and development. The embodied capabilities of spatial computing devices not only provide users with playful and fun interactions, especially if combined with gamification, that can motivate users to develop CR skills, but they can also help users identify and reflect on their thoughts and emotions. Third is promoting the awareness of the mind-body connection. Our research highlights that digital technologies, like wearables, can sense our biosignals and amplify our awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in the ways we cannot do without mediated support. And fourth is materialize thought metaphors. Many people find it challenging to visualize metaphors to implement cognitive reappraisal successfully. This presents an opportunity where technologically mediated supports could help users understand and reflect on their thoughts experientially. In summary, we first conducted a content analysis of 30 manuals and workbooks with 5 clinician interviews to extract the process of cognitive reappraisal and identify key challenges. We then analyzed 42 papers in a scoping review in HCI literature. We identified trends and gaps in the field of HCI or challenges were being met or underexplored. Together, our findings contribute theoretically derived future research opportunities and provide researchers with concrete guidance to explore 4 important design opportunities. Thank you to NSERC for funding this research, and thank you to our participants and advisory board members for their support.